I better get some tickets for a nice lecture. I'll see you later, Bob.
Wait a minute.
What?
Virginia's gone now.
Yeah.
What's this Scotch stuff all about, Frank?
You're addressing Glamis McMorgan, sir, the last of a long line of Caledonian peers.
Doc's Friday, San Pedro.
Give me an outside cabin on deck B. What am I talking about?
Ireland.
Sure and begotta, the glorious Emerald Isle. I mind the time when I was but a spalpeen. Wait a minute. I've been sabotaged.
What? I think Bob was confused, Frank. You were talking about Scotland Yard.
No, that was last week. I was talking about Scotland. Oh, I wish I could return to the McMorgan ancestral seat on the bank of the Glen Hoosgow.
Is it a castle, Frank?
It certainly is. Its construction was begun by my great-great-grandfather, McTavish Morgan, in the year 1088 and was completed by his two sons, Thievish McMorgan and his brother Navish.
Fine pair of Scotch hoodlums.
Have a care, young. If Thievish McMorgan were alive today, he'd break you in half for that remark. He stood 6 feet 4 in his Doc and Doris. He could bend a rod of iron with 2 of his fingers, and he once cut off the heads of 8 members of the McTermite clan with a single blow of his claymore.
What a man.
Aye, he was a terrific bruiser. I can see the rugged battlements of the old Castle McMorgan now. It looks down upon a sea of bluebells, an ocean of heather.
Any thistles?
My ancestral seat is full of them. And don't ask me how I sit down. Gentlemen, I could rhapsodize about the moors all day long.
Yeah, well, just keep your kilts on, Glamis. About a year ago, you started to give us some of this Scotch barley, and there was a kid named Douglas McPhail on the program, remember?
Well, what about him?
Nothing, except that he's a real Scotchman, and he made you back down in just 30 seconds.
Is he on the program tonight?
No.
Scotland, I love thy frozen sea. The bonny braes of Balbriggan, the gleaming gloaming of Glasgow, and the dreary dumps of Dundee.
Gee, this is interesting. Have you ever been in Scotland, Frank?
What a question. Many times. Of course, I didn't become the head of the clan until the death of my great-uncle, Jock McMorgan, who was also the 9th Earl of Chester, a pretty smooth fellow.
How did he die, Frank?
Well, his death was a master stroke of irony. Jock survived the bloodiest feud fought by the Clan McMorgan in modern times. 3 long years of constant fighting against the second toughest clan in Scotland.
Who were they, Frank?
The Clan Chowder.
Oh.
Clan Chowder?
Yes, they were Coney Highlanders.
Well, how did he die, Frank?
Well, I'm coming to that. When all of the Clan Chowder was mopped up, Jock rode home to the Glen Hoosgow to spend the rest of his days in peace. Imagine his consternation when he ripped his kilt while dismounting from his horse. He was terrified.
What was he terrified about?
Have you never heard of the ancient Highland superstition? When a Scotchman tears his kilt, the end is in sight. And sure enough, 2 weeks later, it happened.
What happened?
Jock was run over by a brewery truck and smothered by 800 bottles of beer. It was a 9 days wonder in the village.
Why?
Well, it was the first time the drinks were ever on him. Well, after Jock's death, of course, I hurried to Scotland to inspect my estate. The enormous castle is beautiful in its historic setting, but it was impossible for me to stay there, so I determined to move it stone by stone to a lovely ocean site in California.
Gee, that's a job for the PWA.
Yes, well, that was the agency to which I entrusted it. But unfortunately, someone misinterpreted the plans, and what do you think?
What?
My castle is now the fun house on the Venice Pier.
Can you get me some free passes, Frank?
McWilson, when you're talking to McMorgan, don't talk about free passes. But there's a favor you can do for me.
Well, what's that, Frank?
Well, there's a gathering of the Clan McMorgan tonight on the banks of the Glen Hoosgow. And I'd like you to sing a fine old Scotch song with me for the lads and lassies back there. And you too, Bob, and you too, Warren.
I know.
Well, Frank will be tickled to death. Come on, boys, now all together.
Oh.
You take the high road and I'll take the low road, and I'll be in Scotland a voyage, but me and my true love will never meet again on the bonny, bonny banks of Loch Lomond. By yon bonny banks and by yon bonny braes, where the sun shines bright on Loch Lomond. Bonnie banks and prays. Oh, Bonnie, 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 Bonnie banks and prays. Where he and my true love wherever want to gaze. On the Bonnie bank, on the Bonnie, Bonnie bank, on the Bonnie, Bonnie bank of Loch
Well, Warren, I need no prompting to tell me what comes next tonight. That wonderful fragrance in the air means only one thing.
That's right, Bob. It's coffee time again. Time for that familiar old Thursday evening custom of ours. A moment's relaxation over a steaming, freshly made cup of the new Maxwell House coffee.
And friends, again tonight we invite every one of you, wherever you are, to pull up your chairs and join us in this friendly custom in your own homes. We think you'll enjoy this show of ours still more over a cup of the coffee that's good to the last drop. Now, Warren, will you do the honors?
I certainly will, Bob. Here's your cup, Virginia Bruce, and your cup, Melvyn Douglas. Yours, Frank Morgan. Sugar, cream, everybody served? Now, Meredith, let's have some music to go with our Maxwell House. We pause briefly for station identification.
You are tuned to KFI Los Angeles.